Welcome back, peeps. Thank you for tuning in the Battle Bros channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to win with one less person in Warzone. Again, being those 2v3s or 3v4 scenarios. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to win without necessarily talking about skill. So today we're going to be giving you all these different options on how you can gain that advantage over your enemy. So starting off, the first important question is where to land when you're on one less person. So here, my friend and I, we're going to be playing the 2v3 situation, basically, because we're going to be jumping into trios, which is one of the main things. That's why I wanted to get this video out. A lot of people play duos, and you have to play in trios, and the game never gives you a friend. So one of the main ones why we're going to be landing in Quarry, one of the things that you want to look for, I would say, is a distance. If you don't want to hot drop, first off, don't hot drop in Boneyard, don't hot drop in military base. I mean, unless both of you guys are pros and experts and you can beat the crap out of everybody, then maybe jump in those locations. But first off, let's talk about where to land. That is going to be mostly a place that is, I would say, 1,000 meters over. That is not considered hot drop. I think over 1,000 meters, it's a fairly distance. It has a fair long distance, right? That not a lot of people are going to hot drop. Next up, you're going to drop in a place that has a lot of contracts. Now, contracts are going to be really, really important when you are in that 2v3 situation, when you are one man less, and try to go to a place where there is a lot of recons. I will explain that a little bit later. But first off, why do you want to land in a place that has a lot of contracts? One of the ways that you can beat your enemy without not talking about skill is buy the drop before they do. So what happens if you buy the drop before they do? You will have your heartbeat sensor. Hopefully one of you guys has a heartbeat sensor. You will have your perks and you will have your custom loadouts. Now, what does this mean? Obviously, if you have your classes first, then that would usually mean that you are better equipped than the enemy because the enemy won't have perks. If they don't have perks, you'll be able to see them in their heartbeat sensor, and it's all about intel. So just as important thing, do as many contracts as you can so you can get self-revive, but most importantly, get your drop in. Again, that is the number one way that you can beat your enemy right now, not talking about skill, is being better equipped than them. Now, next up, let's jump into why do you want to do the recon contracts. Now, the other way that you can beat the enemy team in a 2v3 situation, when not talking about skill, is going to be with intelligence. All right, one of the most important things in this game. What do I mean by intel? What do I mean by intelligence? One of the main ways that you can get intelligence in this game mode is knowing where the zone is going to end up before the enemy does, or knowing an enemy location. So what I talk about intel is having a heartbeat sensor, and if the enemy doesn't have ghosts and you're going to be able to see him, that's intel. Knowing where the enemy is and they don't know where you are. All right. But again, let's go back into the recon part of it. So let's say, for example, what you're going to see me do in this gameplay here, we're just going to grind recon contracts. I think we did like 6 or 7 of them, which is a lot of them. So again, here we're going after another recon contract. If you guys know the final destination of the map, I mean, this also applies to just general gameplay, but especially in a 2v3, if you know where that final zone is going to be, and you know what final 2 houses or 2 buildings the area is going to be in, you can plan ahead before the enemy does. Let's say there is a team of 3 that hasn't done any recons. They don't know where the zone's going to end. So they're just kind of cruising it. They're just wandering around. And what's going to happen if they know where their final location is at the end, and they stroll in, and you already knew 10 minutes earlier where that final location is, and you're already in that house, who's going to have more advantage? The 2 guys peeking in the windows, yes, camping with their campfire and everything, but I mean, I said, do you want to win? I never said anything about if you want to be hated by the game, but if you want to win, and there's a team of 3 going over you, and you're in that house, and you've got position over that house, and you got 2 windows, and the 2 people are in those windows, the team in the house is more likely to win than the team attacking them. Not necessarily just in the house, but let's say the battle is going to be in the hills. And obviously nobody knew that, but you do. And, the team is going up the hill. They don't know what's going on. And your team is already uphill, and then you take them out. As you guys can see here in the map, we've got a fairly good idea of where the zone is going to be. So what do we start doing? We start planning. That's also another thing. You just don't do recon contracts and then just leave them. Just keep doing whatever you're doing. And one of the other things here, again, obviously to win, is you will have to sometimes 2v1 those situations, because, again, if your partner dies, it is all up to the other person. So as you guys saw me do there, sometimes you know, it does require just a little bit of skill to get those 1v2 scenarios. But again, going back to those recon contracts, there's no point in doing recon contracts if you're not going to go and move towards and plan towards where your next objective is going to be. So what we did here, one of the plan is I'm also going to be, you know, showing you guys our thought process towards this and how we got this doves. But one of the things is we know where the zone is going to end, right? Fairly. So we are in a pretty good position here in this building where we can snipe a lot of people coming into the zone, right? So what we're going to do is obviously we still want kills, you know, we still want money. We still want a bunch of things. So even though you don't have to go immediately to where the zone is going to end as soon as you know it, right? You can, you know, you can stay there. You can get a couple kills. You guys can see here in this one, we did get quite a few kills. We sniped a couple people, and then we go ahead and get the loot. So that's why it's also very important. It's just not getting the recon and then going to that final house and then camping it. I mean, you can do that, but it's also pretty good, you know, if you know the locations of the zone, if you know where it's going to be closing, and you're in one of these buildings that it's inevitable that people have to go through those locations and you can get some kills and some contracts. So again, talking about intel, most importantly, the position. So you have to position yourself before the enemies. If you get to that final house first than the enemies do, you will have an advantage over them. Next up, let's talk about communication, which is going to be crucial when you are playing a 2v3. That's also another thing, how you can beat your enemies, and not talking skill-wise. If you're fighting against a team of 3, but none of them have communication, right? They're all running all over the place. They get shot. They don't even say anything. They're not moving together. They're not moving as a unit. They're going to be in a disadvantage. So it's really, really important that your team of 2 are communicating, right? You know, hey, I'm going to the market. Hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, I'm going to do the recon contract. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy this. Communication is going to be even more important when you are in a lesser position. Again, here we did a late recon, and now, as you guys can see, I'm also pinging. That's also communication, right? We're still 200 meters out from that location, 300 meters out. But as you guys can see, we're already pinging the next location. I'm all right, this is our plan. Our plan is to go here, and we're going to go on top of this building, and we're going to do this. We are planning even way before the event happens. Something as well that you guys may have noticed is that sticking together is also crucial. As you guys can see there, we're always together, right? Our team dies. Again, I'm going to go into self-revive pretty soon, but self-revive is crucial. But again, my team dies, and we are going to be going together, and that allowed us to get the down. I learned my lesson because they allowed us to self-revive, so I'm going to go ahead and finish him off here. That's also very important. You want to stick together because 2 guns is better than 1, especially when you're in a disadvantage. So let's start into the gunfights, right? How do you win those 2v3 gunfights? Usually, the 3 people aren't going to be together in a little ball. They might be together, but not entirely, you know, like touching back to back. All right. So something that you want to do is, obviously, when you are together, is fight together as a team. So for example, you see 3 people, and then you got that loner. There's usually that one guy that's going by himself and he's doing other stuff, or maybe the 3 of them aren't together. If you 2 are together and you face that one person, it's not a 3v2 situation. In that situation, you put your team in a 2v1 situation. You're going to take him out. Now, the battle just turned into a 2v2. You even things out. And now it's obviously going to be a 2v2, which is basically even. But those are the situations that you want to get yourself in. As a team, when you're fighting as a squad, you always want to push that loner guy, and you always want to take that one man off your squad to even it out. That's something that you guys want to do. You want to even things out either by killing that loner in their squad, or what you also want to do is if you see an enemy that they're in your proximity and you know that the fight is coming, even though if you know you may not kill the guy, always take a couple shots at that guy. Why? Because you guys see here, I don't have any more armor left. Those are my last armor plates. And that could be that guy also in that same situation. So he could be running. You could take a couple shots at him. Maybe you take some armor off. And maybe he doesn't have any armor left. And 1 minute later, you're going to have to fight against him. And that's going to give you an advantage because you're going to have armor and he's not. So if you see enemies, you know, take your shot and always try and take as much armor as you can from them. Also, one of the good kind of like better weapons to have here, as you guys can see my friend here, which utilizes is very, very good, is an RPG. RPG is really, really good when you are in these situations. Obviously, explosive damage, trying to hit as many enemies as you can. Because realistically talking, if you're in a 3v2 situations, that's 3 guns against 2 guns. So if you can, always try and use the rocket launcher. So always have one one friend using the rocket launcher, it is going to be really, really crucial. Again, so talking about self-revive, always buy self-revive, as you guys saw in that last location, because you don't have that one extra friend. If your friend dies, then me reviving him, that means that's the only thing I can do. That I can't defend myself. I can't do anything. That is why it is very, very important that you do have self-revive. Again, going to that aspect again, let me rephrase that. If I'm reviving him, I don't have anybody else to cover for me. So self-revive is really, really, really important. All right? Again, since you don't have the numbers, talking about revive, since you don't have the numbers in this game, what I mean by the numbers is, you're in a 2v3 situation most of the time. That means that you're going to have less people than the enemy. It is always important that you can do whatever you can to revive your teammate so you can get a little bit of an advantage again. So, whether he's down, try and get him. Whether he is dead, go get him from the buying station. Because let's say, for example, obviously, if you're 3v3 and your friend dies, and you're pretty far away, you might leave him. You might leave him to die because you still have another teammate. But if you're in a 2v3 situation and your friend dies, you better hope that you do as much as you can to try and get him back alive. That were pretty much all the tips and tricks that I have for you guys. As you guys can see here, I accomplished the win. It was a 2v1 situation in the end, but I managed to pull it off by getting in the roof. I appreciate you all for tuning in. If you got any other tips and tricks, please comment them down below in the comment section. Like if you did enjoy. And I'll see you all in the next one.